Oh, hello! My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. Okay, so I have another reading vlog slash TBR type thing for you guys. That's a category of YouTube video, right? Yeah, for sure. Recently, I've seen a lot of videos going around about reading the lowest rated books on your TBR based on the Goodreads rating. And I have a few different TBR ideas for Goodreads, which I'm still trying to figure out how to implement. Side note, if you are not my friend on Goodreads, it would help me do that the more people I have be my friend on Goodreads. So if you care about that at all, and you're not my friend, my information's below. One thing that I can do now is to take this lowest rated book on my TBR challenge and see how I do with it. And I'm always looking for books that I think would be interesting to vlog or to kind of do reading updates with, just because I know you guys really like that format. It's something I really like doing, and I know you guys like watching it, so I thought that this would be kind of a perfect candidate for that because it's a cool video idea. The first one of these I saw was Sarah without an H, and then I saw Books and Lala, but I've seen a lot of these showing up in my feed, so there's plenty of them out there. This is not an original idea, but I thought I would embrace it and do it in my own way. So let me tell you kind of the criteria I followed. The way that I kind of figured out which ones I was going to select were as follows. First of all, I did not pick any books that didn't have more than 400 or 500 reviews on them, just because I do have some sort of more obscure books on my TBR list in Goodreads, and they have 5 to 10 reviews, and I just don't think it's really fair to kind of shit on a book that doesn't have a lot of readers and can be heavily skewed in its ratings by just a couple of reviews. So I excluded anything that didn't have 400 or 500 kind of reviews. Then, as I was going through the list, if I encountered a book that had a sufficient number of reviews, but that I did not want to read after I kind of thought about it, or reread the description of the book, or realized it wasn't at my library, I not only eliminated them from this project, but I purged them from my TBR. So that was, I think, a healthy little exercise. I wrote down the ones that I got rid of, so I'll just tell you guys those. I got rid of The Game by AS Byatt, Mr. Peanut by Adam Ross, Books by Charlie Hill, The Story of Ain't, Bunk, and then 2 oral histories, one about Food Network and one about Nickelodeon. So those were all ones that had around 3 stars. They were definitely in the mix in terms of ones that in theory I should have picked for this, but I felt actually pretty good about that. That was 10-ish books that I looked at and was like, no, I don't even like these enough to do them for a project about lowest rated books on my TBR, so that means they should just be removed from my TBR. So good job me. Now instead of 1,500 TBR books on there, I have 1490. Progress, right? And then I went ahead and picked the first 5 that I encountered, so the lowest of the low. These are the lowest rated ones. So I'm gonna start with the least rated book, the lowest rated book, and move to the highest rated book of these 5. And the kind of parameters I set for myself is that I am allowed to have 2 DNFs of those original 5. So as I move through them, if they are so bad that I cannot get through, I have 2 alternates that I'll tell you about, and we will just move to that one instead. But if I use up my 2 DNFs early enough, I may be in a situation where I force myself to finish a couple of books. So we'll see how that goes. I also excluded one book, and I will tell you about it when we get there, because it is a sequel. So I haven't read the books earlier in the series, so I didn't feel like it was reasonable to expect myself to read a sequel, if that makes sense. So with all that being said, let's get into my TBR. So guys, this is a painful moment for me to reconcile with, but the lowest rated book on my TBR of books that have a reasonable number of reviews is Passenger to Frankfurt by Agatha Christie. It has 2.98 stars. Now, if Goodreads wasn't so skewed upwards, 2.98 is actually not terrible. If I give a book a 3-star, that means I think it's fine. it's not terrible, it's not great. But Goodreads is filled with people who are just 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. So 2.9 is real low. And dang, Agatha, did you really fuck up this bad? I've always heard people talk about this book as not a good one from her, but That was harsh. That was way harsh, Ty. So yeah, that will be the first book I read, and I'm on hold for it right now on audio at my library. So as soon as I get that, we'll get rolling on the TBR, but that's the lowest rated one. So the second lowest rated one is called Winter at Death's Hotel by Kenneth M. Cameron. And this is a book that I literally did not remember adding to my TBR. I remembered nothing about it, but when I read the description, I was like, oh yeah, that definitely sounds like a book that I would like. So that, I assume, is why I added it. So basically what this book is about is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle of Sherlock Holmes fame. It's a fictional story about him and his wife Louisa when they are on a book tour to New York in like the late 1800s, and there is a woman who is killed and Louisa is like on the case. So it's a historical mystery. That's definitely something I like, and I like Sherlock Holmes tie-ins. Like, everything about this says it's something that I would enjoy. It only has 3.19 stars, so we'll see how I do, but the premise of it is definitely something that I might enjoy. So yeah, I will be getting that from my library as well once I finish Passenger to Frankfurt. Okay, so number 3, the third lowest rated one on my TBR, is Laura Lamont's Life in Pictures by Emma Straub. Emma Straub is an author I've always wanted to read, and she's a very well-loved literary fiction author in some corners of the bookish internet. And this is a book I actually have only heard good things about, so I'm curious why it has such a low rating. It's at 3.22 at the time I'm filming this. And yeah, I've seen other people doing videos like this mention that literary fiction can end up on this just because there tends to be extreme reactions to it. When I was looking at my list, I've noticed that most of mine are either literary fiction or mysteries, so do with that what you will. But anyway, I've only heard good things about this book, so like, I'm not mad to have to read it. I hope that I like it. I'm just a little shocked that this is the rating for it, but hey, it's making me get to a book I've always wanted to read sooner than I would have otherwise. Oh, and I'm not sure I mentioned what this book is actually about. So I gather that it's essentially literary fiction that's sort of following a starlet in the golden age of Hollywood, which again, that just sounds like a cool premise to me. So like, yeah. It is literary fiction, so sometimes it's a little hit or miss for me because I'm very picky about kind of the writing and the tone, but we'll see how I do with it. Okay, and then the fourth lowest rated book on my TBR is Death at Breakfast by Beth Gutcheon. And this is a book, again, I think I must have gotten this as a recommendation from someone at some point on the bookish internet. I'm not sure who, but when I read the premise, I was like, yeah, this sounds like a book I would like. It's sort of like a detective type thing at a bed and breakfast. Based on the cover, it does not look like a cozy. It looks like more of like a modern thriller, but we'll find out. It's got a 3.22 as well. It and Laura Lamont's Life in Pictures I've seen as both 3.21 and 3.22. So somewhere around a 3.22. It's a premise that I should like. It's in a genre that I like. I mean, there's nothing about this that screams terrible to me. I think as I go through these, I'll probably, after I read them, read some of the Goodreads reviews just to get a sense of what people do or don't like about them. So anyway, I'll fill that in later. But yeah, just on the surface of the description, I'm excited to read this. It shouldn't be a chore to get through. And then my fifth lowest rated book on my TBR that I'm including in this list is Swimming Home by Deborah Levy. This was actually a Man Booker shortlist book. Like, this was a super hyped book in the literary world a few years ago. I remember at the time being like, oh, I really need to get to that. It's not a very long book, so that's kind of nice, which was sort of the tipping point for me. I was trying to decide if I was gonna remove it entirely, but when I saw it was a pretty short book, I was like, you know what? This does sound good to me. It's not gonna be a huge chore to get through, I hope. It's only 165 pages. It's like a little over a novella, basically. And I think it's sort of like a literary, we're all trapped on an island going crazy together kind of book. I don't know, but it is literary fiction, which people have noted tend to have like kind of extreme reactions either way, so maybe that's why it has a low rating. I'm not sure, but I'll find out and I will let you guys know. I should tell you that the rating on it as of this filming is 3.27. Now, a couple of just like other things to mention. One is that actually the fifth book should have been Postern of Fate by Agatha Christie. So 2 Agatha Christies in this lowest TBR video, which is just like shocking to my sensibilities. But because it's a sequel to Tommy and Tuppence book, and I've not read all the Tommy and Tuppence books yet, I don't want to read it first. Like, I want to go and read it in chronological order. So I decided that I could defer that because I still need to read The Secret Adversary. So that was in the mix, but I didn't pick it. And then my two alternates, one is called The Bloodprint by, oh man, let me look up this person's name, Ausma Z. Khan. And this is some kind of fantasy book that I remember getting recommended to me at some point. It's available at the library. I was a little iffy on it, but I was like, you know what? It's an interesting premise. It's at the library. Like, I would still in theory like to get to this at some point. So that's my first alternate. And my second alternate is called The Reservoir by John M. Thompson. And it is a historical mystery that I actually have heard really good reviews on in the past. Like, a lot of people I know and like have enjoyed that book. It's set in Richmond. Yeah, I think it should be pretty good, but it only had like 3.3 stars. So those are my two alternates. So if I DNF any of those 5 original ones, then I can move on to one of the alternates. So yeah, considering I've completely lost the light, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this TBR portion of this video here, and I will come at you in the future once I have Passenger to Frankfurt. Hey guys, I was just looking at some of the footage from this video and realized that it's already pretty long, and if I'm gonna do a reading vlog, it's gonna make it a real long video, so I've decided that I'm gonna go ahead and just make this its own thing, which you guys now know because you are watching this in the future. But anyway, I didn't film a wrap-up for this video, so I'm just hopping on here to do that real quick. So that is my TBR for my lowest rated books on my Goodreads TBR list, and yeah, we'll see how things go. This is future me, so I've already started, and I can tell you that already things are a little bit grim, so stay tuned for that. But besides all that, I guess I should just tell you that if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I hope you're having a really great day. I will talk to you guys soon to update you on this nightmare. Bye!